If you understand that, comment, for my parents. And for me, I noticed something else small. For the first time in months, I could read without eye strain. Before, I could barely get through a few pages without a headache. The words would blur and dance on the page. But now, with just a bit of DHA-rich omega-3 and vitamin A, my eyes felt more relaxed. I picked up my wife's favorite book, the one she loved most, and started reading. And I cried. I had forgotten how this felt, for so long. These little moments, the ones we think don't matter. They're what make life worth living. That's why I'm sharing this story with you. To remind all of us. One small change can lead to a big transformation. Don't look away, because the next part is even more incredible. Even my doctor couldn't believe what happened in week 3. A few months ago, I'd walk into a room and then just stand there. Not remember what I went in for. My granddaughter would say, "Grandpa, did you forget again?" All I could do was chuckle. But something strange happened on day 9 of my health journey. That morning, I walked into the kitchen, stood there for a few seconds, and suddenly laughed. Oh, right, I came to get the water bottle. It wasn't anything big. But for the first time in months, my mind wasn't a foggy mess. That brain fog, the confusion, the haze, it felt like it was finally lifting. By day 11, I did something that even surprised me. I completed a Sudoku puzzle. The first one in 2 years. My granddaughter looked at me with wide eyes. "Wow, Grandpa, how'd you get so sharp?" I winked. Maybe it's the cod liver oil for seniors I've been taking every morning. I'd read somewhere that DHA, one type of omega-3, makes up nearly 20% of the gray matter in the brain, where memory, focus, and learning happen. And vitamin D acts like a neuromessenger. Without it, we're more prone to sadness and mental fatigue. On day 13, I told my doctor. I feel like my mind is clearer. He was quite surprised. My blood pressure had dropped 15 points, and I hadn't changed my medication, just added omega-3s every morning. If you've ever felt mentally foggy or forgetful like I did, leave a comment saying, "Clarity restored." And if your parents or grandparents struggle with memory, send them this video. Because one small change, a daily dose of omega-3, might just bring their memory back. And don't look away, because in the next part, I'll tell you what happened when I entered my 3rd week. When my knees, liver, and energy started changing dramatically. But something else happened, something I didn't expect. My emotions began to shift. I used to wake up feeling heavy, directionless. But now, every morning, I wake up with this strange new thought. I want to do something today. I started walking slowly around the garden. Jotting things down in my old journal. Calling old friends I hadn't spoken to in nearly a year. And it all started from one small change, taking omega-3 the right way. I even wrote in my journal. Day 14, I remembered my college best friend's phone number. It might sound trivial. But to me, it was a sign that my memory was returning. And you know what? When memory comes back, many seniors also find something else returning, their self-worth. Don't underestimate that tiny little fish oil capsule. Behind it lies a complex biological process, helping worn-out brain cells regenerate. Over the next few days, I noticed more. Not just in my body, but in how I felt about life. I wasn't waking up grumpy anymore. I started enjoying the little things I had forgotten. Trimming my bonsai again. Playing the old jazz that my wife used to love. Cooking myself a quiet breakfast. I felt useful again. And then came a surprise. I could taste food better. One night, I stopped mid-bite and said aloud. "This salmon tastes better than ever." My granddaughter laughed. I didn't know this at the time, but a lack of omega-3 can dull your sense of taste, mess with your nerves. Turns out, the fish oil I'd switched to. It wasn't just helping my joints or liver, it was reawakening my senses. If I hadn't made the switch, I thought, I might still be lying in bed, too tired to care. That weekend, she and I went to the park. 6 months since our last visit. No walker. No knee complaints. If you're caring for an older parent or grandparent, try asking them, can I help you find a better omega-3 supplement? And if you've been where I was, if you're on your journey, comment, I'm changing too. Let others know that healing isn't out of reach. Because in the next part of this story, life throws me a curveball. And omega-3 shows it's not just for feeling better. It's for surviving. I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours a night. My joints felt like rusted hinges. And my eyes? So dry, I had to blink 10 times just to read one sentence. That was me, Harold Bennett, age 76. I honestly thought it was just getting old. But something changed. Not because of a pill. Not surgery. Not a fancy hospital. It was fish oil. Omega-3. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out. This stuff didn't just help my joints. It sharpened my memory, calmed my heart, and even helped bring my blood pressure down. 30 days. That's all it took. But there's a catch, not all fish oils are the same. Some can do more harm than good. So in this video, I'll walk you through what happened to my body, day by day. And the exact omega-3 supplement that turned things around. Stick around till the end, because I'll also show you one simple trick that might just save your vision. And if you're watching this for someone you care about, drop a comment below. I'm watching this for someone I love. Let's begin, my friend. I didn't expect much, honestly. When I bought that bottle of omega-3 fish oil for seniors, I just told myself, take it for a week, Harold. If nothing happens, you move on. But something did happen. On the third night, I slept through till morning. That might not sound like much, but when you're used to waking up 3 or 4 times from aching knees or that strange, bone-deep fatigue, it feels like a miracle. I remember opening my eyes and thinking, I didn't toss and turn last night. I brushed it off. Maybe I was just extra tired. But then came day 4. That morning, my eyes weren't red. They didn't sting or feel like sandpaper. I didn't need to rub them for 5 minutes just to read the numbers on the clock. I sat on the edge of my bed and smiled. That hadn't happened in years. By day 5, I noticed the skin on my hands. It wasn't cracking or flaking the way it usually did in the mornings. I'd always blamed that on age. But now I started to wonder. What if it wasn't just age? And by day 7, I'll never forget what I said to myself. Harold, you haven't felt this normal in over 2 years. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning bolts. Just, normal. Steady. Quiet. And it all started with one habit, taking omega-3 every morning. Not just any supplement, but one rich in EPA, DHA, and vitamin A. I wrote it down in my little notebook. Day 3, slept well. Day 4, eyes felt better. Day 5, skin softer. Small changes. But to me, they were the first signs of something bigger. Hope. If you're listening and you've been battling sleepless nights, dry eyes, or flaky skin, maybe it's not just getting older. Maybe, like me, you're low on omega-3 fatty acids. If that thought makes you pause, drop a comment below. Could I be omega-3 deficient too? And if you're looking after your mom, dad, or grandparents, ask them about these symptoms. You might be surprised. Because just a few days later, on day 14, my doctor said something I hadn't heard in years. But I'll get to that soon enough. Now, back then, I wasn't just swallowing pills blindly. I'm an old man, but I'm still curious. So I started reading. And this is what I found. DHA makes up 20% of the human brain. That blew my mind. EPA helps fight inflammation and can reduce joint pain in seniors. Vitamin A supports vision, especially for older folks like me, who've spent too many mornings squinting at blurry coffee mugs. But here's the real kicker. Even if we eat pretty well, most seniors are still omega-3 deficient. Why? Because we don't eat enough fatty fish. And even when we do, our aging bodies don't absorb the nutrients the way they used to. When I read that, I remember whispering to myself. I had no idea. I was this depleted. I still remember that morning. I was climbing the stairs, just like always, when my granddaughter stopped me halfway. "Grandpa, how did you climb the stairs like that?" she asked, her eyes wide. I looked back, a little surprised myself. I wasn't gasping. I wasn't holding my knee. I just smiled and said, "I'm not sure. Must be that little capsule I take every morning." It had only been 3 weeks. But something inside me had changed. I felt lighter. My knees didn't creak like old wooden steps anymore. The tightness around my liver, that deep, dull ache, had eased. And for the first time in years, I wasn't craving my afternoon nap. I called my doctor to check my liver again. ALT and AST levels, those tricky numbers I never understood, were slightly better. Could be less inflammation, he said. That's when it clicked. I'd read somewhere that EPA, the good stuff in omega-3, wasn't just for the heart. It helps your joints, your liver, and your whole system breathe easier. And I could feel it. I could walk farther without the usual pull in my back. I didn't dread getting out of bed. Even bending to tie my shoes felt easier. All from a simple change, switching to the best fish oil for seniors. Not just any fish oil, the one with vitamin D and A, made from cod liver, not the cheap stuff. If you've dealt with joint pain, fatty liver, or days when your body just gives up, comment "Me too" down below. Because week 3. That's when the magic started for me. And trust me, you'll want to stick around. The next part, let's just say I was about to face a real challenge, and omega-3 proved it was more than just a feel-good pill. That morning, I was sipping tea by the window. The sun was rising, golden and slow. And I caught myself thinking. My body. It's not a burden anymore. I can live now, not just survive. I sat down that afternoon and wrote a letter to my granddaughter. She's the one who convinced me to stop wasting time on cheap supplements. She helped me find high-quality cod liver oil, with the right kind of omega-3s and just enough vitamin D and A. At the end of the letter, I wrote something from the heart. Thank you for giving me back my body, and my spirit. She cried when she read it. And I cried, too. If you know someone who feels tired all the time, someone you love, share this video. Sometimes, one small switch changes everything. So I picked up the phone. Called some old friends from the Legion, my bowling group, even Frank from church. I asked them. Have you ever gotten dry eyes? Itchy skin? Weird sleep? Most of them said the same thing. I thought that's just what getting old feels like. If you've watched this far, let me know by commenting. Still here, Harold. It tells me you're walking this road with me. And if someone you love is struggling, sleep problems, joint pain, or that tired for no reason feeling, send them this video. They might be low in omega-3, and not even know it. One more thing I found in my late-night reading sessions. Countries like Japan, Iceland, and Norway, where people live longer, healthier lives. They eat a lot more fatty fish. Their diets are rich in omega-3. And you know what else? They have much lower rates of dementia in seniors. That hit me hard. So I wrote in my notebook that night. This isn't just about my knees, or my sleep. I'm doing this to protect my memory. So I never forget my granddaughter's name. When I told her that, she cried. And if you've ever watched someone you love slowly forget things, you know why that moment mattered. Because caring doesn't start in a hospital. It starts with knowledge, with asking better questions. Sometimes, it starts with something as simple as the best omega-3 supplement for seniors. In the next part, I'll tell you what happened on day 14. That's when something incredible happened with my memory. And even my doctor had to take a step back. I used to tell myself, "You're just getting old, Harold." That's what I believed. Every morning, even after 8 hours in bed, I'd wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My knees creaked like old floorboards. My eyes burned. Sometimes, I'd stand in the kitchen, staring at the calendar, and have no clue what day it was. But the night that shook me. I was brushing my teeth, nothing unusual, when my right hand just stopped. It froze. Completely still. It only lasted a second. But I knew something was wrong. Deep down, I knew. The next day, my doctor looked me straight in the eye and said, "Harold, your cholesterol is dangerously high. Your omega-3 levels are almost non-existent. You're at serious risk for a stroke." Now, I'll be honest with you, I'd never even heard of omega-3s. But I didn't want to become a burden. I didn't want to lose my independence. So I walked into the pharmacy, bought the cheapest fish oil I could find, and started taking it that night. Big mistake. I burped up fish for hours. Nothing improved. Not my memory. Not my joints. Not my sleep. So I called my granddaughter. She's a nurse, sharp as a tack. She said, "Grandpa, don't waste your time on the cheap stuff. You need high-quality omega-3s, preferably cod liver oil with vitamin D and A. Most over-the-counter ones. Oxidized junk." She even sent me a link. I checked the labels and read every review. And that's when I switched. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of the pain, I'd grown used to that. It was the fear. What if that frozen hand was a warning? A preview of something worse? A stroke that might take away my speech, or my memories. I sat in my old rocking chair, staring out the window like I used to when my wife was still around. And I made a promise. If there's something I can do, anything, I'll do it. The next morning, I took my first cod liver oil soft gel. Tasted clean. No burps. I wrote it down in my notebook. Day 1, so far, so good. Day 3, slept through the night. First time in weeks. That little notebook became my lifeline. Every day, I tracked how I felt. My energy, my mood, my sleep. And this video? It follows that journey, week by week. Not just about me, but about what's possible. If you're caring for someone older, or you are someone older, please, don't scroll past this. Share it. Because the change didn't come all at once. But it came. And in just a minute, I'll tell you what happened on day 14. The first time I smiled, really smiled, in months. If you're still with me, leave a comment. Still watching, Harold. Let's keep going. You know, I never thought at 76 I'd get compliments about my skin. But the other morning, my granddaughter looked at me and said, "Grandpa, your skin looks amazing." And she wasn't the only one. Even the neighbors on our morning walk noticed. I chuckled and said, "Well, maybe it's that little fish oil capsule I've been taking." But let me tell you something, this wasn't just about skin. Something much deeper was happening inside me. Something I didn't expect at this stage in life. You see, about a month ago, I went back to the doctor. It was day 30 of a little experiment I'd started. And the results? My alt dropped from 58 to 42. AST improved too. And the ultrasound? The fat in my liver, noticeably reduced. I've lived with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, for years. Doctors told me it's something I just have to manage. I tried eating clean, cutting sugar, even fasting. But nothing made a dent. Until now. So what changed? According to the British Liver Trust, one of the biggest causes of NAFLD is chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. And guess what targets those two head-on? Omega-3s. Specifically, EPA and DHA. I read in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition that omega-3s can reduce liver fat and inflammation by modulating how your body processes fat. And let me tell you, I didn't just feel the change in the numbers. I felt it in my body. The dull ache under my right rib? Gone. Afternoon fatigue? Gone. My skin? Clearer. Brighter. But what surprised me most was my mood. I felt hopeful again. I used to think aging meant saying goodbye to improvement. But now I know, there's still room to get better. My mind felt sharper. I started writing again, little letters to my granddaughter, reflections from the past. This wasn't just about fish oil. It was about reclaiming vitality. Funny thing, my neighbor Paul noticed too. He's 74 and sharp as ever. "Harold," he said, "you look 10 years younger. What's your secret?" I handed him the bottle. Cod liver oil. Good stuff. Got vitamin D and A in it. He gave it a try. 3 weeks later, he sent me a picture. Lost 8 pounds. Liver markers are down too. I later found a study in the Cambridge Liver Research Journal, 2023, that confirmed it. 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 a day reduced liver stiffness and fat by over 25% in older adults. Big results from a small habit. And the truth is, I had no idea my energy, sleep, mood, and even my skin were all tied to my liver. But now I do. And maybe, now you do too. Ask yourself. Do you feel bloated after eating? Struggle to stay asleep through the night? Feel older than your age? If so, your liver might be trying to tell you something. Leave me a comment. I want to heal my liver, if my story resonates with you. And stick around, because in the next part, I go in for my first full body checkup in 5 years. And what does the doctor find? Well, it might just change the way you think about aging, too. There was a moment last fall that I still think about. I was sitting at the park with Paul, an old friend from church. We were talking about our usual health complaints, joint aches, fatigue, the stubborn belly that refuses to shrink. Then Paul leaned in and said, "Harold, I've been taking fish oil every day, but I still have joint inflammation. And my doctor says my liver looks fatty." I paused. Then I asked, "What kind of fish oil are you using?" He reached into his bag and pulled out a small bottle, one of those discount brand, buy one get one free kinds. I smiled gently. That might be part of the problem, my friend. You see, cheap fish oil can do more harm than good. Let me tell you why. Small blue diamond oxidized oil, the cheap stuff usually isn't stabilized with antioxidants. It goes rancid, smells bad, and instead of reducing inflammation, it can cause it. Worse, it puts stress on your liver. Small blue diamond missing vitamins. Many low-grade fish oils don't contain enough vitamin A or D. That means no immune support, no calcium absorption, and bones that slowly grow weaker. Small blue diamond shady sourcing. If the fish comes from polluted waters, you're also swallowing heavy metals. Pushpin. I came across a 2022 Stanford study that tested 52 fish oil products on the market. Over 40% had oxidation levels above safe limits. A quarter didn't even contain the EPA/DHA amounts listed on the label. Paul looked stunned. I thought I was being smart, saving money. I put my hand on his shoulder. When it comes to health, saving a few bucks can end up costing you years of wellness. So, friend, if you've ever bought bargain bin fish oil, take a moment to check. Does it smell fishy or off? Are EPA/DHA levels listed? Does it include vitamins A and D? Backhand index pointing right comment, I want a better one, if you want to know which fish oil changed my life. Direct hit in the next segment, I'll tell you exactly which omega-3 supplement helped turn my liver around, eased my joints, and even cleared the brain fog I didn't know I had. Aren't all fish oils the same as long as they contain EPA and DHA? It sounds like common sense, but Harold smiled. He knew this was one of the biggest misconceptions, and why so many people take omega-3 and feel no difference at all. You might be taking fish oil every day. But if it's the wrong kind, your body may not absorb enough, or worse, you're consuming oxidized oil, causing hidden inflammation. So, how do you choose smart? 1. Choose cod liver oil. Not just EPA and DHA, it comes with natural vitamin A and D, supports bones, liver, immunity, and skin. Harold chose this because he wanted one capsule that does more. 2. Soft gel, burpless capsules, no fishy aftertaste. Cheap oils often cause fishy burps, a sign they've oxidized. Harold picked a version with enteric coating for stability and better absorption. 3. Label must show clear EPA/DHA content, minimum 600-1000 mg/day. Avoid vague omega-3 blends with low potency. Harvard study, 2023, reported. Cod liver oil users saw measurable improvements in liver enzymes, joint pain, and skin quality within 6 weeks. Harold held up his trusted bottle. This little capsule helped me change how I age. Want to know the exact product Harold used? Comment, I want the right one, and I'll send details directly. And in the final segment, Harold goes in for his first full checkup in 5 years. What the doctors found shocked everyone. Why am I still struggling with joint pain and fatty liver even though I take omega-3 every day? That question felt simple enough, until my doctor looked me in the eye and said something I wasn't ready to hear. Harold, you're drowning in omega-6, and you don't even realize it. Omega-6 is an essential fatty acid, but when it's too much, it becomes a silent enemy. Here's the problem. Our modern diet is full of industrial vegetable oils, soybean, corn, canola, sunflower, all loaded with omega-6 in quantities that spark low-grade, ongoing inflammation in the body. The World Health Organization says the ideal omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is 4:1. But most people, including me, were closer to 20:1, even 30:1. What happens when this imbalance drags on? You risk arthritis flaring up, fatty liver worsening, and heart problems mounting. Your body can't fully use the omega-3 supplements you take. It's even linked to depression, brain fog, and faster aging. I thought I was eating healthy. Turns out, the cheap cooking oil I used every day was the real culprit. So I made changes. I stopped all cheap seed oils and switched to olive oil and cold-pressed coconut oil. I ate fatty fish at least 3 times a week. And most importantly, after 6 weeks, I tested my blood for the omega ratio. The result? My liver felt cleaner. My mind is clearer. I sleep more deeply, and my joint pain has faded. Have you checked your omega ratio yet? If not, comment, I want to balance it, and I'll send you the trusted home test guide. And in the next chapter, I'll share the biggest decision I ever made, one that brought tears to my family's eyes. Sweetheart, I mailed it today. Now we just wait for the results. I remember gently placing that little envelope into the mailbox. For the first time in 5 years, I felt like I was taking control of my health again. It was such a simple test, something you can do right at home. Just a tiny prick on my finger. A few drops of blood on a special card. Then mail it back to the lab and wait. 10 days later, the results came in. My omega-6 to omega-3 ratio was a shocking 24-to-1, way out of balance. But I didn't give up. After just 30 days of changing how I ate and the supplements I took, that number dropped to 8-to-1. Then my doctor called me. "Harold, you're on the right track. Your body is healing." I didn't just smile, I cried. Not because of the numbers alone, but because I realized something important: I still had time. Time to live fully. To write stories. To hold my granddaughter every afternoon. And what about you? Do you know your omega ratio? Because the biggest risk to your health isn't what you feel, it's what you never check. If you want to try the same test I did, just comment, "I want to test my blood." I'll send you the International Standard Home Testing Guide. And if this story gave you even a little hope, please share it with someone you love. You might just save a life, or a liver. My story ends here, but your health journey? It's just beginning. Sweetheart, these past 30 days have been the best I've felt in a decade. I whispered, closing my day 30 journal. Who would have guessed that a tiny fish oil capsule could change so much? My liver healed. My sleep grew deeper. My mood lifted. My skin started to glow. And most importantly, hope came back. But my story isn't just about me. It started to ripple out, to my son, my neighbor, and now, to you, the person still watching right till the very end. Here's what I want you to remember. One small change every day can build a whole new life in just 30 days. If you're ready to begin your journey today, comment below, "I want to restart." I'll send you my 30-day Omega-3 longevity checklist to help you get started. And please, share this video with someone you care about, someone you want to walk this path with. This video may end here, but your new chapter, it begins right now. Thank you for spending these 30 minutes with me, Harold. Now, it's your turn to write your own story.